Shout loud, shout loud, shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down, down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
All right, now I'm ready. Good morning, everybody.
These got hers in the mail, and so her membership said Black History Month, you get 33% off.
Are you Diane? Are you talking to us?
Yes, to you.
She got.
Deidre said she got her ARP card in the mail.
It
had It said Black History discount, Black History Month discount, 33% off.
Hey, that's what we. Hey, listen. You don't get 40 acres and a mule, but you get 33% off with AARP. Got it.
I was like, wow.
Hey, listen.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
I'm sitting here trying to share the show, and folks can help me out by hitting the share button too. That'd be pretty cool. So, listen, before we get started, why people so angry? I posted a couple days ago a dining room set.
Oh, God, no.
Right? I don't know. Did you see it, Vincent?
Oh, gosh.
I posted
No, I'm blocked.
From me? I blocked you? I didn't block you. So I posted a dining room set on
I saw that.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And it was just being extra, right? Saying, I'm stepping my game up. We moving our furniture out to hold on to our shoveled out space. And
I saw that.
and I think that 99% of the people saw it as a joke, right? It was a joke, but it was anchored in some reality, right? Which is why it struck a nerve with people, because bottom caste people in particular have experienced that, right? They experienced putting garbage cans or even old ironing boards, anything that you can get to put out there to keep people from, taking up your shoveled out space.
Look, let's not just blame this on bottom caste people. In my community in Hillside, it's mixed. And the Portuguese and Spanish people were doing the same thing.
No, I'm not saying that they don't.
pissed.
I'm not saying that they don't. They may. But I'm talking specifically about bottom
But
caste.
the Portuguese and Spanish are still considered bottom caste.
No, they're not.
No.
No. Portuguese and all of those folks are middle caste.
Middle class.
No, middle caste. Middle caste.
Okay.
The darker melanated people are the most despised in this country.
In every race.
In every way. Let us not get that twisted.
Not every way, in every race.
In every race. What are you talking about?
Not real. Okay, but that's a whole new show. But go ahead, Eric.
No. We are the most and have been the most despised people. In fact, I'll give you an example. In fact, they are now talking about whether Latinx those who have light enough skin, whether they will be welcomed into the upper caste as the white people seek to grow their ranks. That's nothing that's something that will never be afforded to the
You mean,
so-called black
you
man.
mean you mean as white people seek to understand that they're no longer the
Right. Right.
that in population are not the majority and
Right.
they need
But that's what I'm
allies.
saying. So because of that, we are set at absolute polar opposites. And because of that reason, we are the most despised and we are the bottom. But anyway, my point was that um in the communities that I grew up in as a kid, it was a time honored tradition when it snowed that you dug out your parking space and it was your parking space. And you put a garbage can there, or yeah, a folding chair or something, a cone, whatever you could, and it was your space. People understood it. Um, and I think the majority of people still do. I really do. I mean, I understand the law behind it. And Diane, former councilwoman of Hillside, will read the ordinance or whatever and tell us that, we could be, well, I don't know if you could be ticketed, but certainly the police will come and they'll remove whatever items you put there to hold your space. Um, but what I said was this, and I saw it yesterday, and again, I saw it today as I was driving. I got off 280 and I was coming toward Bloomfield. So I came down First Street, which turned into whatever, right? People had dug out parking spaces. They don't have driveways. They don't have, you know, parking garages. They don't have any of those kinds of things. They park on the street. And it could take upwards of 2 hours given the snowfall we had, to dig yourself out. And for me, it is just shameful. It's trifling that you have people who wouldn't dig themselves out, right? But would seek to park in your space once you dug yourself out. And then they think that that's okay. I don't, and we saw on in some of the posts that people got into fights. There were people shot. I think somebody died. I read on a post that in Newark, they said they were upwards of 60 years old, two men. One attacked the other one with a shovel. Because time is important. And if I took my time to do this, you can't just come and rip off my time. Is I think the underlying sentiment, right? You can't just rip off my time. That was something that was done. And you recognize it because you pull your car into it. So somebody did it. So
I wish I could show you my street, Eric. I just had a conversation with somebody this morning, and I had conversations with many people yesterday about how disgusted they were with the streets not being clean. They didn't have parking, all of this whine, but nobody wanted to move their cars off the street. And I said, well, they told you move your cars off the street. Well,
to
where are we going
where?
to put them? What are we
But
going to do?
that's right.
I
To
said,
where?
the majority of you got driveways, and you don't park in your driveways. And on my block, Eric, literally, I know exactly which houses. There are only 5 houses on this street that can only fit one car in the driveway. And they pushed another car that would be on the sidewalk, but that would be getting it off the street. So that's just 5 houses. Every other driveway on my block can fit 5 cars in it. Do you think those people parked on the street? I mean, in that driveway? Nope. So didn't. There's a building on both ends of my block. So those people always have street parking. They don't have an option to be off the street. But there are public lots at one end of the street, and the other end of the street there's a car wash where the car wash allows the people in the building to park in the lot when the streets have to be clean. My thing, and I'll continue to say it, the same way when we have street cleaning is the same way it should run with the snow. And it doesn't have to
It
be a
can't
4
run
hour
like that
window.
with snow,
It
though.
doesn't have to be a 4 hour window. It could have been a 30-minute or a 45-minute window for everybody get in their cars and move it, drive around the block so the street cleaner could at least start coming in and piling it up against the curb.
Right, but they don't. But Diane,
Nobody made an initiative.
but that's difficult to do logistically, right? Because you can't time when the snow plow is
Yes,
coming
you can,
down.
because when they come through, the police come through before them, and they have their sirens, and they tell people, even when there isn't snow, that they need to clean or move their cars. And people come out, and within 5 to 10 minutes, they have moved their cars. So don't tell me it can't be done. It has been done. People are ignorant, and all they want to do is complain. So it doesn't matter. Be snowed in. I don't care. I got a driveway. I'm good. I'm driving down the street. I'm out my driveway. Everything good.
So wait a minute. So wait. I want to back up. So your recommendation is that the police come down the street, tell the people that the plows are on their way, and that they should move their cars.
They're not on their way. When the police come, the plows are directly behind the police, plowing at the same time as the cars are moving. That's how easy it can be done. But see, this goes back to government.
But let me ask you a question though. But see, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if the plows are trying to plow the streets, because there are a couple things that are going on here, right? Firstly, they tell you don't drive, right? They want you off the roads. And so now let's say you had a block of 30 cars, right? 30 cars, 15 on each side of the street. And all of a sudden, those 15 cars on each side of the street, those residents run out, they jump in their cars, and they're now going to be moving their car off the street so the plow can come down. Those 30 cars, even if they go around the block, right, they now become part of the general traffic on the roads where people told them not to be.
You can make every excuse.
No. It's not an excuse. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Listen to what I'm saying to you.
Diane, I don't think he's making it.
Listen, I'm not making it. See, but you could talk over me. I'm not making it. But I'm not making an Diane. I'm not making an excuse. I'm walking through it. I'm trying to walk through it, right? So I'm saying let's walk through it. It's not an excuse. So let's walk through it. So now because this is reality, right? The visual is that on that particular block, just that one block, you could have 15 cars on either side of the street. So logistically speaking, those 30 people come out to their cars where it's snowing, and now they become part of the general traffic because they have to move, even if they're going around the block. But at the same time, that next block, right, the police are going to be there momentarily, which means 30 more cars are going to be coming out, right? And then wait a minute, I just want to finish.
No.
Diane,
because you're trying to drag this out.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is, and in the prior block.
When police come to move your car and they tell you to move your car, what you do? You move that shit. And what do? You move it in your driveway if you got one.
Diane.
So all of those 30 cars we can say they got 25 driveways to move into. So 5 cars is not going to stop traffic for them to remove the snow and to back into a parking space.
Right.
Let's stop playing.
No, but I'm not. Diane, I'm not. But I'm not. Diane.
This is why government is dysfunctional, because people like you always want to throw a curveball and say it can't be done.
No. I don't know. What I'm saying is this. It's easy to say something. It's more complicated to do it. And I'm simply saying, let's walk through it.
I have seen it done before. It can be done.
You saw it with plowing or with street?
On our block, we've done it before.
With plowing.
This comes down from administration. It can be done before. How do you think the counties get their roads clean?
Diane, no. So I'm gonna tell you. Wait a minute. So we had that conversation yesterday. So this is how the county gets their roads clean. At least I could talk about Sanford Avenue, right, in Essex County. What they do is they come down the street way before the plows come down. As soon as the snow starts falling, because they have signs that say no parking when snow is on the road. So as soon as snow hits the road, so there are no plows there, but the sheriff's cars are coming down, and they're telling people to come out and move their cars, right? So now those people move their cars off of the county roads onto the municipal roads. And they jam up the municipal roads. But the county doesn't give a shit because all they care about is clearing their roads. So now all those side roads, wait, you asked a question. I'm giving you an answer.
No, the county roads have to be clean because they are emergency.
I'm not saying why. What,
they don't care. They do it for
Diane,
a reason.
Diane, but they don't care where you park it. But Diane, they don't care. What I'm saying is they don't care where you park it. Just don't park it on a county road. So if you cause blockage on the side streets, the county doesn't give a damn. They just care that the county road is clean. Right? And now in Irvington, those side roads become the responsibility of the municipality. Right? Because the county told people move your cars off the county roads.
Well, Eric, you just explained the same thing that Diane said can be done, with the exception of this. As they go to different streets, they move off of one to the other, and once that is plowed, then they move off.
No, you can't move back. No, listen, Vincent, you can't move your car back onto the county road. Once you move...
No, Eric,
yes?
You're not hearing me. I said Diane expressed the exact same thing, except for take out county road.
Right.
Do the same procedure with the police coming down. They move their car.
No, but here's the difference, Vincent. I'm going to give you the difference. Listen to me about the difference. So Vincent, I know my name. I don't need you to call my name. But what I'm saying to you is here's the difference. Let me explain the difference. You have county roads and municipal roads. So now if you're just talking about municipal roads, because you can't put your car on the county road, right? So now you got to move from municipal road to municipal road, right? And so now you have cars who are driving around on roads where they shouldn't be driving around. I'm just asking how you do it, right?
Eric, she just said how, and that is an incorrect act, and she's right. That is not true. Because while they're moving, they're only going to be moving for a certain amount of time for them to plow the street. It doesn't take them 2 hours.
Okay, so wait a minute. So stop for a second. So Vincent, let me get back to what you're saying. Hear what I'm saying now, right? So when the plow came down my street the first time, because they came down more than once. So you move your car, and then when they get ready to come again, you got to go move your car again.
No, you move your car until the street is done.
Wait a minute. So the plow comes down. Wait a minute. How many times the plow? I can tell you, Vincent. Plow came down my street. Plow came down my street 3 times.
Okay. And how long did that 3 times take for them to plow your street?
No. Not 3. No, they came down once. Then about 8 hours, 7 hours later, they came down again. And then maybe about 5 or 6 hours, they came down again. So where should my car be during those intervals?
Now, the first time that they...
driveway. How about that?
No. Right. Mine was in the driveway. I'm talking about people who don't have a driveway. Where should their car be, Vincent? No, Vincent jumped into this. So, no.
Residential roads have driveways.
Listen.
That's the problem. We're not talking about people who don't have. We understand that. The people who don't have were given options to park in the school board parking lots. They were given the option to park in government building parking lots. They were given options to park in the public lots so that they can clean the roads. So let's stop making excuses like everybody ain't got no parking. It's the majority of people with driveways that have contributed to this problem.
Right.
So they won't get off the street.
Right. So now listen. If people have driveways, they should park in their drive. Wait a minute. If people have driveways, they should park in their driveways. I don't have an issue with that, right? And not only that, they should probably be the most highly ticketed individuals, right? Because they have the most convenience to just pull your goddamn car in your driveway. So, done. I'm talking about the people who don't have driveways. So when I was coming down, when I got off 280 and I was coming home, none of those people have driveways. All those people who live in Garden Spires and stuff, they don't have driveways. The people who...
The people that live in Garden Spires have a parking.
Listen, so they get... So wait a minute. See, but here's...
They tell people to move their cars to one side while they plow.
Diane, but here's the challenge, right? That people don't understand. And then people just... You don't look at these dynamics. They assign 1 parking space per apartment. But in those apartments, because of the poverty level, you might have 3 people living there that have cars. So where those other 2 cars going? Come on, see, this is what I'm saying. So it's easy to talk about.
I that, Eric. I'm not going to.
Diane, it's easy to talk about, but
it's incorrect. That's a lie. Every parking building gets their lots plowed.
I'm not saying they don't. You're missing my point.
How they do it, Eric? They have to move their cars.
Diane, you're
How
missing.
they do it?
Diane, you're missing
You're
my.
missing the point.
Because
You're trying to create another
no, I'm
scenario.
not, Diane. So you got one. So let's say Eric lives in that up because this is the dynamic in those apartments. This is the dynamic.
Now we on private property now. We done left the street.
No, we haven't left the streets. See, because you won't listen to me, so we haven't left the streets. I'm not talking about the one car that's in the parking lot. I'm talking about the other two adults that live in that building, in that apartment, who don't get to park in the parking lot because they only assign one parking space per apartment. So those other two cars are parked on the street. That's what I'm talking about. So you got three adults living in the one apartment. They all have licenses. There's one assigned parking space. And so that parking space is in there. And yeah, now that one particular car's got to move out of that parking lot too, onto the street where the other two cars are. Now you multiply that times the number of apartments in Garden Spires, all those cars lined up. I saw them this morning. I drove past them. This isn't me just hypothetically speaking.
Was the street cleaned?
No, Diane, that's my point to you. Because they didn't have anywhere to go.
Eric, but the scenario that you gave, and the different, and we're now on a third one, it does not equate to 80% of the actual people in that location or building. Okay? And yes, they have to go somewhere, but they only have to go there temporarily. They move to that location and then go to the other. I don't know how we jump from, you setting up a table and a chair to this big blown up argument, but please.
No, because
Eric wants to be right.
No, because like I said to you this.
You're right, Eric. You're right.
I said the chair and the table, though it was a joke, it was anchored in some people's reality. And that's why it struck a nerve. Because there are people who don't have one-family houses, who don't have driveways to be able to pull their cars in. Some of these people, and let's be real about this too, some of these bottom people had to get up and go to work and take public transportation, right? And they left because they were told that they couldn't drive their cars. They shouldn't be on the road. And they were encouraged to take public transportation. So they took public transportation, left the cars. I mean, see, there's a lot. And look, I'm just saying, take into account all of the people, not just the people who have the ability to do what it is that you want to do, but all of the people, all of them. And then it's no coincidence that it happens in poorer communities. So we got to look at those factors.
Why don't we look at the simple fact of this?
It ain't simple though, Vincent.
Well, maybe if you can stop interrupting me and let me get out my simple state, then we can do that.
Vincent reminds him it snows every year in New Jersey.
Eric, it snows every year in New Jersey, and there are standards and procedures in which have to go by. And the whole problem that is hitting everybody's nerve is because people don't want to follow the procedures. People want to be the extemporaneous maverick and do what they want to do instead of what's best for the community.
And that's so freaking elitist of you. That's so freaking elitist of you. That is so elitist of you.
Because there are more selfish people in this world.
Oh, there are selfish people.
It always comes out when there's a problem. This is the selfishness of people.
I'm not standing up for the selfish people. The selfish and trifling people, they need to bite it.
Selfish and trifling people are the ones upset about your joke.
No, Vincent. No. Well, no. So what are two things? The selfish and trifling people, you're correct, are upset about the joke. The other ones who understood it, they understand the nuances in these inner city communities where
I understand all of that, Eric, but there has to be some way to do it. So we can complain and people could be mad, but there are solutions. And if you don't want to follow the solutions, then deal with the snow. And you can't blame government if they don't do anything if you aren't working with them either.
Because now you want government to legislate selfish, trifling, stupid people. And you can't do that. We have more laws than we have people.
Listen, in Harlem, I called my brother. You know what? His car is buried in snow. He's got to go dig it out. They weren't moving them. They moved them to one side of the street. They have alternate parking. Right? One side of the street, move it to the other side of the street. They come down one side, they plow you in the other side. You got to move your car. You got to dig yourself out.
You know, Eric.
Wait a minute. Did you hear what I just said? Wait. Did you hear what I just said?
I heard.
Right, and this is right around the corner from the new Trump building that they built right by Central Park. So what I'm saying to you is this: because those people don't have driveways, right? So I'm saying model after what these, what they've done successfully, right? And those people figure it out. And I'm saying that part of figuring it out is that some people just can't move their cars. Now, my issue about beyond you moving your car and digging yourself out, and I asked him, and there are fights over New York about parking spaces too, right?
Well, there are fights in Philly. In fact, the Philadelphia police just put out in the news that there is a law against blocking parking spaces. Holding parking spaces. Even though you did take the time and dig it out. But even though that there are laws against that, we talked about this yesterday, there are societal laws for people who have been living there for years about, if I dig this out, don't park your A in my space.
That's right.
But see, that goes back to being a community. We don't have a community because people that have driveways aren't helping other people who don't have driveways, and then people are digging themselves out, and other people are taking their spots.
I agree.
Because we don't have a community.
I agree with that.
But yet, the way you act during this season is trifling, because this carries on for the next 360 some days of the year.
No, I don't. Listen, I don't disagree with that.
You have to deal with. Is it really that great of a deal that you lost the damn parking space? Is a bigger deal that we aren't all trying to work together to get the damn streets clean, to put our taxes at work. See, we can't go back to government and yell at them about not cleaning the streets if we aren't doing our part to help.
There we go.
Right. I think the biggest deal is the devaluing of somebody's time. And that's what people at the end of the day, that's what they look at. They look at the fact that they've been devalued, that somebody took advantage of them, and that is the reaction.
People don't have respect for other people.
Right.
Yeah, because now I feel used and exploited. Now you just basically said, screw you. I don't care about your time and energy. It's all about me.
So listen, anybody who wants to come.
I don't think they did all that. I think they just being selfish.
Anybody who wants to come over to my house, sit at my table. I got outside dining. Right?
You got dining, I got cobblers.
We'll bring some takeout, get a movie.
That's right.
Exactly. What's the next hot topic?
We'll steal somebody's Wi-Fi. It'll be fine.
That's done already.
I know what the next hot topic is.
What?
In honor of Wendy Williams, her ex-husband is opening up an Italian restaurant in Brooklyn.
Is he calling it Wendy's?
Oh, I don't know what he's calling it, but he's doing that. And now, talking about Spinderella, we talked about that yesterday and the other day. Spinderella came out and said they never reached out to her, but Sandy Pepper said that they reached out to her to have input on the show, on the movie. But the movie was specifically to talk about the relationship between her and between Salt and Pepper. It was about their relationship and how they met in college. It was not necessarily to include Spinderella. That's what her explanation that she gave. Woo, that's it. Listen, turn your phone down. Hey, Eric.
What up?
When we getting that stimulus check?
Wait a minute. Stimulus or stimu-me?
Have my money.
Stimulus or stimu-me? That's the question. Biden ain't stimulating us. Come on now, listen.
Biden has gone down from 2,000. He now 1,200.
Right? It's like an auction, right? Somebody give me 200. Somebody give me 12, going once over 1,000. Somebody give me 1,000.
Look, look, and everybody's sitting in the wings talking about he's got to get all of the Democrats on board. He's going to do it. Just give him time. Vincent, mute your phone.
Wait a minute. So Jody said, and she may be late to the conversation. She said that I'm looking annoyed. If she's talking about the parking stuff, I just want people to, can't look in the famous words of Rodney King. Can't we all just get along? Can't we all just get along? That's what I want.
In the words of Ice Cube, oh hell no.
So listen, locally, my good friend, I'd like to say that he is a good friend. John Arnold is running for sheriff of Essex County. And look, as much as he's a friend of mine, I've gotten phone calls from people asking me what I thought about it.
Well, wait. Before you do that, how long has the current sheriff been in that seat?
How long is too long? How long is too...
Did they say he's in his 10th term?
He's running for his 11th. He's like Forrest Gump. Right? Run, Fontour, run. I'm running. Yeah, 11th term, Diane. He's running for his 11th term. Right?
Wow.
So,
and each term is how many years? 4 years or 3 years?
I don't even know. Can somebody, we may be able to find that out. But, so John Arnold is running. When I tell you I got more than a half dozen calls, as far south as South Carolina, asking me what I thought, people who've transplanted from Newark or Essex County who are steeped in politics, wanted to get my opinion about it. And look, I think that John is extremely qualified. He has an impeccable law enforcement background, right? Mm-hmm. But what we know is that qualifications don't matter.
Nope.
Right? And so when I was asked, and so when I give my answer, it is not out of disrespect for John and his ability, his acumen, any of those things. I said, no, I don't think that he can win. I said, I don't even know why my friend is trying.
Why would you say that? Because it's only a race between him and the incumbent.
No, it's not. It's a race between him and the whole machine. See, we can't, right.
There's only two people
No, but it's not two people. See, that's my point. It is him and the machine, right? And so every person on that ticket who's a part of that machine is going to pull votes to the line. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not about Fontour.
So when you talk about the ticket, this sheriff's seat is not a lone election. He's running with other candidates.
Yes, he's running on the line. He's running on the line. And so you could take a transplant, i.e., when they took the mayor out of when they took what was his name, Lester Taylor, who nobody knew. And they put him on a line in East Orange, and he became the mayor simply because he was on the line. And guess what? When they were done with him, they scraped him off the bottom of their shoe like excrement, and they said, you're no longer on the line. And so then he lost. And that's just how it goes in Essex County.
Oh, no, they didn't let him run.
They didn't let him because they told him he no. It wasn't that they didn't let, no, be clear. We got to use right language. It's not that they didn't let him run. He realized that running would be futile because they told him he wasn't going to be on the line. He could have run, but it would have been a waste of his time because he knew what the line did to get him elected. So he knew not being on the line what the results were going to be. So he wasn't going to waste his time. Now, conversely, and he's a friend of mine too, Ted Green, Mayor Ted Green of East Orange. Mayor Ted Green tried to penetrate politics as an independent. Could not do it. But as soon as Leroy Jones wrapped his arms around him on Steuben Street and said Ted was on the line, Ted became mayor. So let us make no mistake about it. Ted's not mayor because of his acumen. Ted's mayor because the line blessed him. See, and so once you understand,
but let's be clear. That does not deter from Ted Green doing a good job as a mayor.
no, see, we talk about two different things, Diane. But you're conflating
No,
things.
I'm not missing it, but I just want to make sure that does not take away him.
Well, I don't know. I'm not, I don't even know if he's doing a good job. I'm not even in that discussion about whether or not he's doing a good job. I'm simply saying he is in that seat because and you know what? And here's the other thing. It doesn't really matter whether he's doing a good job. Because if they decided in the next election that Ted wasn't going to be on the line, I don't care what kind of job he did, he wouldn't be mayor again. That's what I'm trying to stay focused on. See, so it doesn't have to do with your performance. It has to do with what those who are in power and control the line decide is going to happen in that particular race. And so when we understand, I'm sorry?
You're telling me that the machine has more control over the voters than the voters really think they have? Are you telling me that the machine doesn't
I think that little devilish... I think that devilish laugh should answer your question.
Listen.
Does that mean that the voters are invalued and they've been used and they don't even know they've been used?
Yes. I'll say it for him. Yes.
How do you break the cycle, though?
Well, you know how you break the cycle? You break the cycle.
Eric, what'd you say?
How does who break the cycle?
How do you give the control back to the people?
Realizing and understanding that they have power.
No, that's not how you give it back.
Okay.
You kill the machine. You kill the machine.
That's a so Vincent, again, so when you say people have to realize that they have the control and the power, I'm not suggesting that is not a component. But I asked a question on my page a while ago, and I said, how do you wake up, right? So how do you realize? How do you wake up from the matrix when you don't even know you're in the matrix? See, so when you say that people need to wake up, they don't know that they're asleep, right? So when you say they got to wake up, it's not that simple, right? There are a whole lot of things that are lulling them to sleep. Right, and those things, the apparati, right, that are lulling them to sleep, we have to be about the business of dismantling it, right? And it's not just dismantling this one thing over here, because while we're dismantling this thing over here, they're retooling and reconfiguring the matrix to be able to lull them to sleep over here. Then by the time we come over here, right, they're already rocking half of them to sleep over here, right? Then they deploy some Negro whispers and slave catchers over here. All this is dynamic. So it's not as simple as saying, well, they have to just wake up. There is an active effort that has been successful generationally that lulls them to sleep. Right? So look, one of the greatest examples was when Carballo was assemblyman. And he and Steve Adubato had an argument. And Steve Adubato said, you know what? I'm going to take you off the line. And this is what he said to him. Big Steve said, I'm going to put a nobody on the line. I'm going to show you how powerful I am. I'm going to put a no-name person on the line, and they're going to win. And that's exactly what they did. It was a no-name person that they put on the line, and an incumbent who had done a fantastic job lost. So when you ask me, do I have hope? Do I have hope? No, not right now. There are no indicators. There are no key performance indicators that suggest in any shape, form, or fashion that socially and politically transmitted disease that allowed that to happen has been extricated from our community. I'd
like to interject.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
We are now, our country and our state and our local neighborhoods have now come into a period of awakening and enlightenment. They are gaining more information about the ills, and a lot of people are working towards doing what they can do to to exact change. People
That's
are
lies.
really.
That's lies. They
Lies.
ain't doing nothing.
They ain't doing nothing.
Then how did Georgia go? How did Georgia go from red to blue?
But we already told you how Georgia went from red to blue. We told you that. So let me tell you again. So if you believe that those people independently did anything, they were herded by a group of people who now control them. And we just hope that those people that control them, that they use their powers for good.
They were herded by a group of people who now they represent.
No. See.
No. They do not control them. Everybody now is looking for or looking to be unplugged from the matrix. They are now voting in people who represent their best.
Let me ask you a question, Vincent. When the people lined up to vote for Obama in record numbers, right? I say, I'm going to use my term, that those people were herded by people who controlled them. Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
And no. When people were lined up for Obama, those people were herded by the simple notion of one, history, two, tired of the Bush administration, and three, tired of politics and their insiders.
No, that's a lie too, and you just changed the subject. People voted for Obama because he was black, and we wanted a black president.
Right, but I'm saying that there was a narrative.
We didn't pay attention to anything about Bush. We didn't care about that. They didn't do a Stop Bush campaign. He was black, and he said hope.
And let's understand, there was a narrative war, right? And people fed into that narrative. See, you want to believe, and I get it, Vincent, you want to believe that voters are all acting independently, and then somehow they come together. I'm saying to you, no, is...
Eric, that is the mechanics, is it not?
No, it's not. It's not. Vincent, when was the last time you ran an election? Hold it. Wait a minute. Vincent, when was the last time you were boots on the ground in an election? It doesn't work like that. You've got operatives. Vincent, wait a minute. You've got operatives. Wait. I'm gonna lay this down for you. You have operatives, right? Because I was one. You have operatives who are given the task of corralling a certain number of people to vote in a particular way, and I gotta deliver that. And I'm just gonna use Newark, right? And then we can grow this this outward
throughout the state,
right? So let's just take over the North Ward, which was prolific in how they did it. Big Steve, who's no longer with us, may he rest in peace, right? Ran a machine. That's why they call it a machine. And he would have his district leaders show up at meetings every Sunday. And their district leaders had the job of knocking on doors and building relationships with people in the district and getting them to trust them. And so Big Steve didn't go to those individuals. He went to those district leaders and counted votes and said to those district leaders, you need to give me 100 votes. You need to give me 80 votes. You need to give me 35 votes. And then once he got the requisite number of votes, committed votes that he needed, he marched his ass down to 990 Broad Street, which was City Hall, and he would say to Mayor James, I got 3,200 votes coming out of the North Ward. Yep. Now, those were not people thinking independently, Vincent. Okay, they weren't. They didn't come.
Really? Okay, well, here we go. You forget, or you gave an accurate description of the machine, but you forgot one part of the machine.
Go ahead.
When he went to Big Steve dispatched the people who were had that level of trust, that had that level of, yeah, I know him. And they, based upon that word, but it's still the individual.
So wait a minute, let me ask you a question. Oh, wait. So Vincent, let me ask you this question. I'm gonna ask you this question, right? And then we're gonna take this call. Wait a minute, I'm gonna ask you this question, and we're gonna take this call, right? Because you said they're all independent thinkers, right? They were all independent.
No, I didn't say that they're all independent thinkers. I said individuals.
Oh, well, okay. So right. So then they're not independent thinkers, which is what I was saying. So they didn't think independently about how to vote. They were herded into how to vote. Call it go.
Even in that fact, which there's a great deal of truth in, but you also have to look at there is the possibility that somebody will break ranks or break from that little spell and say that no, even though this is what the group is saying, this is what I'm going to do.
But historically, so if you study political science, Vincent, historically that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Call it go.
So first, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jody.
First, I'm gonna say, Eric, don't be saying, may he rest in peace, the racist devil he was.
Jody, did anybody tell you it's not good to talk ill of the dead?
Listen, he was a racist, and he was overtly racist. I sat in a meeting with him. Someone introduced me to him. They wanted me to make friendly with him, so he would allow me to run on whatever. And after he called Shavar a stupid Negro and talked poorly about black men and how dumb black men were in Newark, I said my piece, and obviously I wasn't on that ticket, and I was so happy to tell him, my piece, and I was willing to walk out with my head down and say, damn, they are never going to run you on a ticket. I was good with that, because he was a racist a-hole, and he doesn't deserve to rest in peace. The ground should pull up underneath him, and sometimes, every now and then, the Most High God should kick him in his dead body.
I don't know whose phone that is.
Okay.
Can you mute?
And
Oh, is that you?
None of that. Okay. The other thing is, if we, and I don't want to quite agree with Vincent, right? Because that's just not what I do. But Eric, then when you sometimes have those moments where you're saying, we need to build something today, it sounds like there is no hope to change that. And is there no hope to change that? Did not Raz Baraka beat the establishment in Essex County? And how did he do that? And so how do you replicate that? But we just stuck with that system.
Right. No. What I said to you is this. I said, so we were speaking specifically of John Arnold, right? And John hasn't put that kind of work in that Raz put in, right? That led up to him being victorious, right? So there were a number of things that that happened. It was a perfect storm, if you will, that led to Raz Baraka becoming mayor, right? It was and let us be honest about what the storm was, because we were watching the numbers shift and we were watching the momentum shift. It had everything to do with the passing of his father, which generated emotion within the campaign, right? It had to do with Cammie Anderson and demonizing her, right? It had to do with a wayward campaign worker who burned his bus, right, and created emotion within the community, right? It had to do with Chris Christie and what was going on with that and the establishment and how everybody was looking at the establishment. It had to do with Shavar Jeffries, who they put up there, and Shavar didn't have the roots in the community that Raz. So we could talk about all the things. So there were a number of factors that led to it. But right. So but Raz Baraka ran the race. He ran the race he had to run with no margin for error, and he did it. I'm not saying he didn't.
Okay.
But what I am saying is this: if you want to replicate that, you can't just replicate the victory, right? You have to go back and look at all of the things that I just talked about, right? Then you have to look at the 20 years, the 4 times he ran and lost, right? You got to look at all of that and the building and the whatever. So now when I look at a guy like John Arnold, who's running against that same machine, right? I'm like, okay, I don't see any of that. None of it.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so that's what I'm saying, Jody. So if I had seen some of that, right? If I had seen the coalition building, and let's understand this again, right? Raz's coalition building was some political, but a lot of street coalition building, right? Right? He had a lot of unsavory people that he built coalitions with. I don't that is necessary too. If John Arnold is going to go to war with the Democratic Party, the political machine, he's got to have all those coalitions in place, and he doesn't.
Got you.
All right, so I'm not saying impossible. I just don't see it right here.
Got you. Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, and again, not a knock on. I love him. I think he is super qualified, right? And here's a sad part. For all of the people, so for Vincent, who talks about the awakening of the community, you got a black guy now, in the midst of this discussion about social justice, right? You got a black guy who could be sheriff, first black sheriff in Essex County, if the bottom people were really awake, because they could rally around him and get him elected. No doubt. When you got the governor of the state of New Jersey saying, I need the black vote to get me elected, if those same black folks said, you know what, we will reject you in the next election, governor, if you don't come and stand behind this black man. Hello. If you had the lieutenant governor, with the proverbial knife at her neck, right, which is the black community, saying, Lieutenant Governor, if you don't stand with him, right, you were happy to be the first black lieutenant governor, right? We want the first black sheriff. See? So you put a proverbial knife at her neck, at her political career. See, but that awakening that you say exists, Vincent, it don't exist, because people are going to tell the black people what to do. And you know who's going to help tell them what to do? That same radical in Newark who said he wanted to destroy the machine.
Can I ask two questions?
Sure you can.
If a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound?
Of course it does. Of course it does.
Okay, so if you're stating it and you don't know that it's happening, does it mean that it's not happening because you don't notice it?
So what I'll say to you specifically about Essex County, Vincent, more specifically about the urban communities within Essex County, my ear is like way to the ground. Way to the ground. It's way to the ground. So I wouldn't be saying this if I it's way to the ground. And and people have the thing about this whole political thing is everybody has the right to run, right? They do. I'm just giving you my analysis based on the information and the experience that I have. The information I have and the experience I have, I'm giving you my analysis.
And
so you don't think
more black people to run against him to split the vote so he doesn't get the vote and their person will walk back in.
What was your question, Vincent?
That does happen, Diane. It happens a lot. Yes,
every election.
Okay.
Listen, Vincent. Here, ready for this? I'm gonna get this to you again, Vincent. In Essex County, right, you have the largest concentration of black mayors than any other county in these United States. Right? You heard what I just said. Right? Now, Dwayne Warren, Ras Baraka, Ted Green, right. All of them, if they just stood with John tomorrow.
The mayor of Hillside, who shall not be named.
Right? Just stand with John tomorrow. But they won't. That's my point. And so all of the people that they control, that each of those mayors control by way of jobs, right? And then their councils that they control, right? and then trickle it all the way down, all of those people are going to be herded when the time comes.
Not to mention their influence, being mayors and the people that they
Right.
know.
And so when I say that the community that you say has this awakening, I'm like, no, they don't. No, they don't. They're just waiting. They're waiting for these mayors to tell them what to do, and then those orders get trickled down, and then the mayors aren't even telling them what to do. That information is coming from on high. It's coming from the Democratic Party in New Jersey. That's gonna trickle that information is gonna trickle down to the mayors about what it is that they should do. See, because when we understand where the power is, see the difference between seats, political seats, and political power. And the people that look like us don't have political power. They have seats. And they're able to keep their seats as long as they do what they are told.
Yep.
And so Jody, to your point, right? Ras Baraka was an anomaly. So if you look at the Matrix, right? You talk about the Matrix, and remember the architect talked about anomalies, right? So there was an anomaly, but they adjusted it, and you see they adjusted it in 4 years, right? Because right after he won, that same guy who stood up on those steps with that victory hat on, talking about how his next stop was the county and how he was going to tear down Joe D and tear all of that down. That was that guy. Fast forward 3 years after that, he was standing on the steps of City Hall with Joe D. He was standing on the steps with Phil Murphy. He was standing on the steps with the guy he said he despised the most, which was Cory Booker. And Cory Booker ran into City Hall carrying his petitions. See, there was a glitch in the Matrix, but the architect readjusted. See?
Your Matrix analogies are like amazing.
Well, in terms of the Matrix and the glitch, you have to understand a few things. Once the glitch was established, there became a new model and pattern. So if Ras Baraka was the quote-unquote glitch, then that leaves a pattern of success for someone to follow. So for the next person to come in. The big problem that I've seen with Ras Baraka is that he made so many enemies on his climb up. When he needed help, he had no one. And those people who said that, they stand behind him and they got his back, they turned it on him. So
no, that's not what happened. Vincent, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. No.
Tell me what happened. Give me the inside.
Somebody told you.
Give me the inside. So all those people who had his back, you're trying to tell me that once Ras Baraka became the establishment or the mayor, he therefore decided to link in with the establishment?
About Cory Booker. He threw him under the bus like you would not believe.
I remember that.
He's in his election ballot, not ballot, in his signatures to get him filed for mayor. Are you kidding me? Vincent, you're crazy.
So I'm gonna get it short of it, Vincent, so we don't stay on it too long. I'm gonna give you Vincent. I'm gonna give you the cliff.
I got it, but that's
Vincent. I'm gonna give you the cliff notes of it. Okay, here are the cliff notes. The cliff notes are that Raz chose not to trust the community that got him elected. He looked at it, and what he determined. See, when you win elections, right? When you cross that line, when you beat the establishment, know what they do? First thing they do is they rally around you, the establishment. They wrap their arms around you and they go, "You did it." They go, "You did it. You did it." Then they start stroking you, right? They start building your head up. No, you asked me a question. You did it. And then you know what they do? They take you into a room that you never knew existed. And they show you all the jewels and everything. And they say, "See, you did it. And you can stay here now. You can stay here. Your troubles are over. You fought the good fight. Kick your feet up now." Right? And so now Raz had a choice. Either he was going to go and fight again and possibly lose it all, right? Or take what was behind door number 2, which was, you don't have to fight anymore. We're going to be with you now. Everybody, you get your pension, you get to this, you get to that, you get to this, you get to whatever, whatever, whatever. And Raz chose the path of least resistance.
But that Raz isn't the only one. I mean,
No, but all I'm saying is this: you gave a false narrative about what happened in Newark.
No,
Sure you did.
I just gave what I found. Okay, whether it is missing information or not, that is true. But and what I see happen was the same thing that happened to a friend of mine who ran an independent Democrat against the machine, won the primary, won the election, and now he was the Democratic leader. So now the machine, who was backing the guy who lost, came to him and said, "You don't have to do all that work. We got you."
Right. So you're saying what I'm saying. So my point to you is this: that so when you say that somebody can look at Raz and they can model after him, what I just said to Jody was, firstly, the machine recognizes. So you know what they recognize firstly? They didn't give value to a guy who was standing on a corner with a bullhorn.
Correct.
Right? They didn't give value to, so take all of the things that they took for granted, right? Including, they took for granted that they could put a person atop the educational institution in the city of Newark and have her thumb her nose at the community and not be responsive and all that stuff, and that there weren't going to be any recourse, right? So now they've learned, like, we got to listen. Nope, here's where when we see the uprising happen like this, then we know that this is possibly going. So they've got all that now. They've got all of that now. So if somebody lines up on a corner with a bullhorn, they're going to have people paying attention to that now. They got all these other areas. So the things that he did, you can't do those things anymore. You got to come with something different. Because they figured that out now. Right? But the biggest thing, and this is the Willie Lynch letter in The Making of a Slave. See, come on. Where they tell you, take that buck, tie him up, string him, so that the whole community can see, right? Use him as an example. So when they stood on the steps of City Hall with him, right, wrapped their arms around him, they were telling everybody, you don't have a chance. Because that guy who you thought was the most radical, that guy, see how we brought him to heel?
The most radical.
See, so now you have a demoralized community, right? Because they go, well, wow, if that happened to him, jeez, right? And so that's kind of how the Willie Lynch letter explains how to do it, right? So back to you, Jody. Is it possible? Sure it is. The probability of it happening in this race that John Arnold has embarked on, highly improbable, because the ingredients necessary just don't exist.
I gotta say one thing. I'm glad John Arnold's your friend, because I mean, if you didn't like him, how you would really talk about.
Well, no, I'm not talking about. No, see, stop for a second. Don't do that, Vincent. Don't trivialize it, because I'm not talking about John Arnold. See, don't do that. I'm not talking, and that's why I prefaced it by saying he has the acumen. He's a brilliant guy. He's got a resume that's impeccable. So I'm not talking about John Arnold. I'm talking, if you listen to me, I'm talking about the people who you said are awake. This community of people that you said are awake. No, they're not. It has nothing to do with John Arnold. This has nothing to do with him. It has to do with all of these other components. And they don't exist.
If I am right, and the community is awake, and they see a man who is competent, who is brilliant, who is looking to serve the people in a positive way, who's looking out for their best interest, then he will be elected. But if I'm wrong, and the machine that has been oppressing them for how long that they continue to go with, okay,
right,
so be it. Then they get exactly what they deserve.
Oh, sure, they do.
So
but you know what? But here's and this is the last part I want to say about this. We shouldn't. We should be. having been in it for as long as we've been in it, and like my Uncle Shep says, I'm on the 57th floor of life now, looking down on this stuff. I don't have to wait to election day to know, right? I can. They're key performance indicators. They're things that if they're not in line, so we already know that if you can't raise money, that's a problem, right? If you can't do X, Y, and Z, that's a problem. And so when you add all of those things up, we don't have to get to election day to know, right? We can say, is it possible? Yes, because nothing's impossible. But the probability of it happening is slim to none because you typically have to have these things in place. And so what I'm saying to you is this: I don't have to wait till election day. I'm looking going, these things are not in place. Now, I'll keep watching, and maybe next week I'll say to you, hey, listen, there's some things that are happening right now. I see coalitions being built. I see that, that the mayor over here and the mayor over here have signed on. I mean, I saw Shavar Jeffries weighed in on Facebook. Now, that's huge too, right? See, because we got to understand how to read Facebook. People stay away from you and your posts when they don't want to give the impression that they're close to you or they support you. Typically, if a high profile person hits like to something, then they're sending a message out to other people too. They're sending you a message saying, yo, I'm with you. And they're sending a message to other people too saying, I'm not afraid to tell all y'all that I'm with him. So when I saw Shavar Jeffries hit like, I'm like, oh, okay. But when you go down, so you open up John Arnold's thing and you look at the other people who didn't hit like, but that for sure. So anyway, what's up? What's the next on deck?
Well, can you hear me?
I got you.
I'm chewing. I was trying to finish my sandwich.
What kind of sandwich you eating, Diane?
Chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A. I told you I was going.
You know what, Diane? I keep telling you, Chick-fil-A's chicken sandwich is not as good as the Wendy's honey biscuit chicken sandwich. Hello.
Yeah, but the Chick-fil-A is, I think, organic chicken. I bet you Wendy's.
All right, you know what? If I eat one organic fast food chicken sandwich and then I shove all kind of other stuff in my mouth the rest of the day.
Well, the French fries are sprinkled with sea salt, so that makes it better.
All right, I got you.
Extra holidays and sauce. I didn't even ask for.
Oh, wait a minute. Do you guys know? I was talking to Diane about this earlier, and I'm pretty proud of myself.
Oh God. Go ahead.
Do you know what kombucha is, Vincent?
Of course he does.
No, I don't.
So kombucha is it's a beverage. It's a tea, really. It's a tea that is high in probiotics, right? You brew it using a jar, tea, sugar, and ideally you want to use some plain kombucha, or the way that I did it was I bought a what's called a SCOBY, right? And so I'm pulling it up because I keep forgetting what a SCOBY is. But so a SCOBY, SCOBY, is an acronym for symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, right? So this is a living organism that grows within your liquid, and in its growing, it creates an environment that provides all kinds of nutrients for this tea, right? So the way that I did mine is, like I said, I went to Amazon, I bought a SCOBY, it cost me like $7, and it gave me a little container, like a 16-ounce container of starter tea. You put the starter tea in a glass jug. You boil. Black tea is the best tea to use. Boil 12 tea bags of black tea. I think it was 4 cups of water and 12 tea bags. Let that cool off. Pour that in with the starter tea. Put 1.5 cups of sugar in it, and then put the SCOBY in, because the SCOBY feeds off of the sugar, right? The yeast feeds off of the sugar. That's what.
Is this regular sugar or is this?
No, it's regular. It's regular white sugar. But the SCOBY, I wish if I had my clean hands, I would go get it. I would pull it out of the thing, right? So now I've got this environment inside of it's an active living environment inside of this glass jar. It's freaking amazing. And my SCOBY when I started was probably 4.5, 5 inches in diameter. Now my SCOBY is probably around 9 inches in diameter because it's just going to grow, right? And my my kombucha has been brewing now for maybe 5 weeks, right? And so what you can do now, I mean, I'm learning so much about it, but anyway, it is amazing beverage. So people who drink soda, if you know somebody who drinks soda, this is a great substitute for drinking soda because it has sugar in it, right? But as the SCOBY eats the sugar, the beverage becomes less sweet and becomes more vinegary. But then you can flavor it with fruit. So once your kombucha is ready, you can take it. So that would be your first fermentation over, say, and there's no real set time to leave it beyond, say, 10 days. But like I told you, mine has been for like 5 weeks now. So the fermentation is just really great. But now you take it and you remove it from that current container, and you can put it in individual bottles. And I was on the phone with Diane this morning. I put some in one. I just fell asleep. Right, and I put guava juice in, right? But you could put all kinds of stuff in your thing and seal it. And now what happens is the environment, it's still feeding on the sugar, but now that it's sealed, it's carbonating itself. So in 5 days, I'll have a carbonated beverage that is full of antioxidants and probiotics, and it would be amazing.
And we'll have another 30-minute explanation of what happened 5 days from now.
Are you doing it yourself because you don't believe in the drink? So like I do Synergy every day, kombucha, right?
Uh-huh.
Not believe it though?
You know why I do it, Jody? Because it's cheaper. Why? It's cheaper. If you go buy kombucha, so to make the jar that I made, right, that if you go to buy it, it's about $4. It probably costs about 70 cents.
Yeah, so Synergy drinks for $4. And I spend that $4 every day on my way into
Right.
work.
So if you did this, Jody, I'm telling you, and it's so simple. And then what happens is your SCOBY will just keep living, right? So when you just save 16 ounces of your kombucha that you just made, and then you start all over again. And in fact, your SCOBY will grow another SCOBY. So you can take one SCOBY out and put it in another jug, and you can now have 2 batches of kombucha growing. So if you like to drink it every day instead of spending $4 a day, huh?
I drink it every day.
Yeah, then Jody, trust me.
Where did you get the recipes from, Eric?
So I'm gonna send you. Actually, I'm gonna post it in the thread after the show. But then I'm gonna send you the links, and then I'm also gonna send you. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna try to post it while we're doing the rest of the show. Try to post it in the feed. But then you can go, and I'm gonna send you the link on Amazon where I got the SCOBY. Right, and then the directions for how to brew your first batch will be on that package. But what I'm gonna send you are recipes for flavoring it with all kinds of amazing things, mint and the list goes on of what you can flavor it with. Okay, all right. But this is something, and good. Look, listen, for you guys who are looking for weight loss stuff. This is great for weight loss. I mean, it's great for your liver. It's great for your digestive tract.
Are you making me a batch?
I will make you some.
Okay.
I'll make you a jar. Listen. Look. It is one of the coolest things. And I'll tell you this: if you've got kids, if you got children, it is a great science lesson on how to grow healthy bacteria, how to do, because you have to maintain it.
Okay, well, Stephanie, I'm doing what she thinks about doing it with her kids. for her babies.
Excellent. And then if you guys do it, I'd like you guys to call back and then talk about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the article I was going to get to, I'm going to tell you about it. It was in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago. New Jersey candidates and activists are joining a federal lawsuit to take election ballot design out of the party machine's hands, and this is here in New Jersey. So a group of my daughter literally just called me as I was reading. I'm close to thing. A group of former candidates. I can't believe this. I'm sorry. A group of former candidates and progressive activists are throwing their weight behind a lawsuit that argues New Jersey ballot design is unconstitutional. New Jersey is the only state in the country that allows county party organizations like local political machines to determine how the ballot is laid out in primary elections. Candidates endorsed by the local machine are placed on what's called the county line. It's a column on the primary ballot that places candidates in smaller races right under better-known candidates, like the governor of or the U.S. Senate, i.e. Menendez or Cory Booker. So studies have shown that placement on the county line confers a clear electoral advantage for the machine's chosen candidates because the entire state legislation is beholden to the line and benefits from the line. It is nearly impossible to vote people out, says Sue Altman, an executive director of the New Jersey Working Families Alliance. The only recourse activists and outsiders have is litigation.
So I was on the phone yesterday I posted the 2 links in there so far for kombucha stuff. I'm going to post the next one where you can get your SCOBY after I finish making. You're welcome, love. After I make this statement, I was on the phone yesterday with former Councilman Ron Rice, who now lives in Maryland, and he was saying, Eric, he said, New Jersey, like you said, Diane, is the only state that does this, guys. And so, Vincent, when you say that our community is woke, right? We could do away with a lot of the power that the machine has simply by instituting new policies in terms of how the ballots are designed. And we can't remove ourselves from that slave mentality.
Of course, because one of the things they do in designing the ballots, in my case, when I ran for office, out of the 3 people running for that slot and position on the ballot, I was number 9th.
Right, but beyond you being number 9th, so what I'm saying is this: yeah, you're number 9, you're 9, but I'm talking about how they bracket in Essex County, right, or New Jersey. They bracket, so they have the line A, they have line B, right? You have teams, right? Team Baraka, Team Jeffries, Team whoever, right? All of that.
Break it down more, Eric, because they don't understand. What he's saying is when they bracket together on the local level, what they're doing is, I'm running, say for instance, I'm running for mayor. Cory Booker is a Democratic candidate for U.S. Senator. They take wherever he is in my town and they put us on the same line. So whatever line I pull, so I'll legally go into the clerk's office, I'll pull out a letter, they'll say, I have letter B, and they'll say all the Democrats in that town, including Cory Booker from top to bottom, will be on that column. So in the next town over in Roselle or in North, Senator Booker will be on the line, whatever line that particular candidate on a local level has pulled. That's what we're talking about.
Right, and what I was saying was that when I ran, I wasn't under the 3rd column of on the 2nd bracket. I was in the 9th column of the 8th bracket. So people had to actually look to find me, versus them doing the simple just pull down or just voting down line.
So I think these are
vote down line because you weren't supported by the party.
Correct.
Supported by the party, you can't get bracketed except with the people that you're running with. So whatever number or letter you pull is where you pull, and that's
right.
That's why you ended up on 9, because you pulled the number 9. Not because they pushed you there. It was because all their people pulled something else, and they were able to line them up together.
Correct. So instead of me being the party line Republican, Democrat, and Independent, I was past that into past the Green Tree Party.
Right. So here's
Even though I'm a Republican.
right. So here's the thing, guys. We could I believe personally, right? We should institute ranked choice voting, right? We should be pushing for term limits, and we should be pushing to inline A, right? If we did those three things, we would, in a major way, disrupt the power structure.
Oh, absolutely. Immediately.
Immediately. So you want to do something? Do that. And then beyond that, if you said to every candidate that's running, if you don't sign on for these three things, I can't be supportive of you. Because it is clear to me that no matter what comes out of your mouth, at the end of the day, you're about supporting this failed structure. Right? So no matter what comes out of your mouth, you say, oh, we're going to change things. Oh, things are going to improve. Oh, no, they're not. Because as long as the structure is in place, it's going to be the status quo. So ranked choice voting.
When you say that, right, you're asking for that same body of people.
I know.
That broke the line, right? Okay.
No. You know what I'm asking for, Jody? I'm asking for disaffected people, right? So let's take the Board of Education election. What we know is over 200,000 folks, right? Whatever the number is now in terms of registered voters. I'm just using Newark for example.
It's 5,000 people that vote.
No, that's my point. Only 5,000, but the other people don't vote because a lot of them say, "What is the point?" And so what I'm saying is, look, hey, I can give you a point. I can point you in a direction to change things drastically, right? So for all of you who don't get involved because you don't think anything is going to change, I'm saying to you, if you push for these three things, things will drastically change. Term limits, ranked choice voting.
You argued against an hour ago where I said the enlightened people. Or the people awakening who are realizing that they've been disenfranchised and how they can enact change.
Right,
where
but
you said that no, the machine will win.
Right, and they will win, right?
That those same people.
No, that's not. No, I'm saying the same thing I've been saying, and that's why Jody asked me the question.
Well, let me digress. In that mindset, those people who believe that their vote doesn't count, a majority of it is because the machine has already picked out who's going to win.
Right, and so what I'm saying, so I'm still saying the same thing. I haven't changed anything that I'm saying. I'm saying, so here's the formula, right? But until you pick up the egg and the flour and the milk and the sugar, you ain't making no cake, right? You're not making a cake. The ingredients are over there. But until you get your ass up and go and get them and take them to the kitchen, and I see you pull a bowl out and a whisk and whatever, I'm never saying you're making a cake. So I'm simply saying, here are the ingredients. I'm going to point the ingredients out always. Always. I'm simply saying to what you're saying, Vincent, about this, there being this great awakening, I'm going, they're still on the couch playing Xbox. They're not making no cake. That's what I'm saying.
So what
you're saying is that they are waiting for you to get the ingredients.
No, I don't know what they. I'm not. I don't. I'm not going to say what they. I have no idea. Yeah, I have no. Yeah, they're still plugged in, and they don't know they're plugged in. So how can you unplug when you don't know you're plugged in? So I can tell you that much, right? That they're still plugged. They don't know. They don't know.
All right. So can I ask a question? So I was having a conversation with someone. I'm trying to pose it less complicated. So, would you not agree that, let's say, someone wants to run for council in Newark, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's running up against the established, have some name recognition, maybe not as much, right? I was saying, listen, 2 years out, you can start knocking on doors now. Even breaking it down to 40 doors a day, when you're talking like a council, right? A seat in a ward, right? That you might not, they might have only won by 2,000 votes, right? So between now and then, 40 doors a day, 200 doors a week, you can actually, when I did the numbers for them, you could see 800 people in a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from now, you could do that 3 times, right? You could actually see in 3 months, you could see the voting block, right?
Right.
And then you could do that again, right?
Sure.
First hit is, hey, my name is such and such. I'm a neighbor. Second run, thinking about representing you.
Mm-hmm.
Third run, thinking of, here's my literature. This is what I'll do for you.
Mm-hmm.
By the time the election comes, it's beyond just a lit drop, right? It's become, I have come to see you, sat in your space, and talked to you, got your vote.
Right.
You don't think those changes of things could beat the establishment?
So no, I don't. So I think that what it'll do is it'll give. No, listen to what I'm going to answer your question. It will get that person a seat, right? They'll win they may win a political seat, right? But that's different than seizing the power needed to beat the establishment, right? So no, they won't beat the establishment. They'll win a seat. Look, I'll tell you, it was the exact same formula my brother used, right? When he ran against Goliath, Corey, in his band of characters, right? My father sat him down, and my father called it the 4-touch rule. Touch a voter 4 times, right? So my father went in. So my brother did that. He walked the entire Central Ward 4 times, 4 times. The entire Central Ward. He knocked on every door. It was crazy what he did. I mean, he wore, and I'm not, this is not hyperbole. He wore out his shoes, right? And so to your point, Jody, and wait a minute, and so here's the awakening that he had to do in that community. Even with that, knocking on those doors all those times, us gathering all that data and all that stuff, he won by 11 votes.
My Lord.
I want you to understand. So when you ask me what does it take? And I tell you that we were out there from 10 o'clock at night to 3 o'clock in the morning defending polls where we had signs up for a 6-month period. And he walked the entire ward, the largest ward in Newark, 4 times, knocking on doors. And we only won by 11 votes. And even to the end, he had to lawyer up because he was in a runoff. And then that's right. So we went to the runoff and we had to beat the run. So we made it to the runoff. We did the runoff, and then in there he won by 11 votes. And when they went to count count them, the absentee ballots and stuff, we had to lawyer up for fear that they might steal it. So all the way to the bitter end, the machine was clinging on. So when I look at a candidate who's running, right, and you say, well, are you going to be able to do this? And then I'm going to say to you, he had arguably the most powerful non-elected person in his corner, which was my father. And so now when you talk about, so I'm going, okay, so I want to see some power. But look at what was going on. During that time, that's where Corey tried to seat Shanique Spates, right? So we could talk about all the things that were happening all that time. See, so there was a major power struggle with the guy who was unelected, my dad, who was in the corner pushing this. All of this, Jody, was the birth of Eric as you see him now. That was the birth of Newark Citizen. All of that. I was in a whole nother space. I was in the private sector doing my thing. And I saw this and I'm like, all right, if ever I'm gonna jump in and help, it gotta be now. Right? It gotta be now. Like I saw the chink that you all are talking about, right? I thought I saw it and I said, you know what? If ever, it's gotta be now. And look at what they did to him. Look at what they did to my father. Look at what they did to my brother. And so this is no vendetta. I'm just simply saying to you guys, I've seen it from the inside. And so now my brother, right?
And
My,
Eric,
wait, let me finish.
Understanding
But
of
let me,
why
but let me,
good people
but let me,
don't run for
right?
office.
But let me finish this. So now that same guy that they beat up, I'm talking about the community, beat him up, right? So now he's no longer in office. He left and went back to where he was before. He's working at the Urban League, doing what he was doing before, right? Trying to empower the community, trying to better the community. And not one of those people who called him all those names ever come over there to help sweep a street, ever come over to help hand out a piece of food to the needy. They don't do shit. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that guy who they tried to convince everybody that he was trying to steal money and take money, look at all the people going to jail, who have gone to jail or who are gonna go to jail since my brother's left office. Right? And then look at the work that he's over there doing in Fairmount Heights. Not one of these people, and so that's why I say to you, Vincent, when you come to me and say this awakening, bro, I'm like, stop. I see it every day. Every day.
Eric, it starts with your brother. And if your brother would run again, more than likely with the people that he ran against being indicted, he would win.
Oh, God, Vincent. Oh, my God.
It starts with the simple fact of people getting tired of the machine and now voting against it because the machine doesn't have their interest. It starts with...
He didn't hear anything I said. He heard nothing I said.
People don't run is because of that. Do you know I've been arrested 9 times and won every case because they were all bogus charges?
Right.
That's what they do to people who are running against the machine.
Right, Vincent. So you haven't heard, you didn't hear anything.
That's very interesting because you've never told us you've been arrested 9 times. I'm very interested into what those 9 times were.
Okay, right. Whoa.
But I won't sidetrack us to move away from that. We'll deal with you another day, Vincent. Go ahead.
Okay.
I think the difference is, right, is that, like, so it takes a certain mentality, right? It takes a certain really thirst to do the good work, to do that tap 4 times, right? To run your shoes down says that that was bigger than, just wanting to hold a seat in City Hall and make $90K. That was, I feel like I could do the work, right? Because when I was talking to the person, they were like, I'm not doing that.
I know, right.
And you don't want to help the people. Because if you want to help the people, you got 2 years to go.
Right.
You would get off the phone with me and get to walking.
Yeah.
Right? So when your brother did that, and thank God that he had your father, then someone tears you down. The same people that you wore your shoes out for, turn against you. Yeah, that's a bitter taste, but to feel and know, and then.
Hey Jody, can I tell you something? But I'm gonna tell you something, right? And I've never said this. And he may literally come over here as my big brother and beat the shit out of me for saying this. It started on the inside.
Can we videotape it and put it on Google?
I'm not trying to be funny, right? So it started on the inside, Jody. So I'm gonna tell you something that very few people knew. So I told you this part. As much as people, called me a hater, for how I looked at Raz when he ran for mayor, right? I told you I supported him in 2010. That was during that election when my brother won. At the same time I was supporting Raz as South Fork councilman, he and his band of people were tearing down my brother's posters in the Central Ward, right? But then, I looked and counted that as politics. I was still out there taking pictures for Raz, designing his posters and stuff for him, even though he was tearing down my brother's stuff. After Raz won, and it's a true story, right? After Raz, because I'm trying to give you, Vincent, how inside I am, right? So after Raz won, his father, may he rest in peace as well, had a conversation with my father and said, I can't have my son on the council by himself. Your son has to be there with him. They'll destroy him if he's on the council by himself. So Raz had a street army. We had some money, so they negotiated paying. Now, the story you heard on the street was that Raz was benevolent and sent some people over to help us. That's not true. They all got paid, right? But they came over to the Central Ward and helped with the runoff. From that moment on, right, Raz had a different agenda, even as a council person. And so, if you just go back and look at the tapes, you have to take. They never got along, because what you saw in 2014 is what my brother saw a year, not even a year into Raz being a councilman, right? So when he was getting ready to run for mayor, right, we had already seen on the inside, right, what he was doing. So here's this guy who got elected to work with him for the people. And so my brother was continuing to work for the people. Raz was working for himself. And so we realized that that wasn't going to be a good thing. That happened from the very, very beginning. So when I talk about Negro whisperers and slave catchers, I'm saying they're deeply embedded in this thing, right? So yeah, so it's really, and again, I'm never going to say impossible, right? I'm just trying to explain to you how complicated. And I'm going to tell you one last thing. I had a person who called and talked to me about running for office. And I gave some same advice that you're giving, Jody. I don't know if it's the same person. I don't want to know.
Right.
But now, this is going to probably give it away. But in a post about Fontour, who's running for sheriff, I put that we need term limits. And the person came into the thread and said, if it's not broken, why fix it? And I said, the fact that he's running for an 11th term means it's broken. Right? So now here you have this person, right, who's going to be running against the machine, the same machine that Fontour is going to win on. Right? And Fontour is going to kick that person's back in because he's in support of the machine. But this person is so diluted that they're going to be supporting the person who's going to be supporting the machine that's going to be kicking their back in. This is what I'm saying to you. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy. So I'm going, wait a minute, how do you do that? Do you understand? You're sitting here defending Fontour. He's going to take all the money he can to ensure that all the people on that line, including the person running against you, wins. But you can't see past you. And so when we talk about Stockholm syndrome, taking the abuser and wrapping our arms around him and loving him. So here's Fontour. I'm telling you who he is. You know who he is. And you can't even bring yourself to look at this black man who's got the experience and go, yeah, let me go get behind John Arnold. Lord, we got problems.
Something up there earlier, so that no one thinks that I'm like, one, that I'm not politically savvy. Like, I break rules that you don't, right? So when you say, Raz's father, God rest his soul, and I co-sign that because, I think that he twirls in his grave at the behavior of his children. But, but as a leader, I still respect that. So when I say that Adebayo was the devil, I didn't say that via rumor or other folks' opinions, right? I didn't vote for Shavar. I supported Shavar, and I was gung-ho for Shavar. But when I had this meeting with Adebayo, and he talked so rude and disrespectfully about Shavar, I went to Shavar. At this time, Shavar is finished with the board, but not running, he hadn't run for mayor. And, and he was like, what did he say? And I was so hurt that he said those. And he said to me, what did you say? And my only conversation about it was, I was sitting there, maybe my son might have been 14, 15. I was like, I'm a mother of one of them black men you're talking about. Don't ever talk about a black man like that in my presence, right? And I had that conversation with Shavar. So when later Shavar's running for mayor, and he's standing with him, and I was supporting him, something happened, and I saw that picture, and I remember catching him outside of a school, and I said to him, hey, Shavar, why are you standing with that guy? And, it's a political thing. I don't even remember what he said. And I love Shavar to this day. It's not a hate, but I didn't give him my vote for that reason. I can't understand when someone is against you that you would have anything for them. Much like that person that you're saying, running against the machine, but on this side, you want to keep the machine empowered. I just can't.
Right, but you know what though? But Jody, but when we understand, when we understand the political landscape, right? So Parlavecchio, who was caught on film, caught on audio, right, calling black people niggas and Puerto Rican spics, right? He was on audio, right? Razzing and a problem hanging around, right? So a good friend of mine, right? Who my father supported. She ran for an office, right? She won, but then recognized that, and Big Steve had these same conversations. I've been in rooms where he's used the N-word. Steve's called her over to his office and said to her, "You're never gonna win again with those black people. They're not gonna support you." Right? He said, "Now you go and you figure that out." He said, "But then you come back here," he said, "and I'll take care of you." She went over, had another conversation with my father, right? Black community wouldn't support it. Not at all. Right? So what did she do? She went back over. She said, I want to be in office. She's a judge now. See? So now, and she's doing great work. She's doing great work. So sometimes you got to go through hell to get to, right? It's unfortunate that you do. So she could have thumbed her nose up, right? She fought through some stuff, and I was mad when she did that. I was mad. I was mad at all get out. But when I look at what she does now as a judge, right? How some of our people, bottom people, are before her, and the compassion she has for them because she understands. Where that could have been another judge who doesn't understand our people and the plights that they have and the conditions that they have to work under, right? And then all of a sudden they get this ticket that's going to jam them up, or they got this other thing that they could, right? So she, and so, she and I have made amends, right? So sometimes you give up your rook, in pursuit of checkmate. And so, and again, it's unfortunate, right? We would hope that we wouldn't have to do it, but we don't have power. So we have to, we sometimes have to do what we think is the unthinkable, right? And it's unfortunate. And then so,
listen, Jody, you're not a politician.
And so I've learned.
I'm just not a politician. I am not someone that can bite the bullet on that. And if that is the shortcoming, then I accept that right, and I won't ever run for political office again.
Yeah, it's rough. So even if I.
Quick conversation. The House just passed the $1.9 trillion budget by Biden. It's now going to the Senate.
Okay.
And that includes 1,400 additional COVID relief.
So that was from 16 to 14. What did we say, Eric?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Y'all voted for him.
I voted for him. I'm proud of it. And I'm looking for his progress.
Y'all voted for him. I said y'all, meaning not me.
Okay.
So whoever y'all is y'all.
Okay, and when I say we, I mean the 81 million that got him in the office. Not only the popular vote, but the Electoral College.
So, Diane, if they get it passed, right, and those $1,400 stimulus checks come out, are you going to feel different?
Who, me?
Yeah, if Biden gets it passed, she gets this whole
I don't get a check. I don't get a check. I didn't get the last one. I won't get this one.
Neither do I.
So, will you feel different about his promise, for lack of a better word?
About his promise, because it's not specifically for black people. And I'll continue to say that. It is not specifically helping black people. Until he says this is a black bill and a black law, this is for everybody.
So I missed part of that. What did you say that Biden just did, Vincent?
The House.
Oh, the House.
Just passed
They passed what?
They passed his COVID relief to 1.9 trillion that he was campaigning about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, including the $1,400 stimulus check to two individuals. And I'm like Diane, I don't get a check either. But yet I do realize that a lot of people do need it. And that $600 followed by that other stimulus package has done very little. The only thing it did was give people spending money. That's why when...
You don't think $1,400 is just spending money?
Well, this is what happened with that $600. And
they don't. I'm simply asking the question. So, what do you think the $1,400 is going to do?
Well, this is. Let me finish, and then I can address that.
Okay.
Okay. The $600 stimulus and the other stimulus led to the top 5 corporations now recovering the money that they lost in COVID in 90 days because it wasn't. It helped and gave people enough to make some slight changes or to barely survive, and I mean barely by a lot of people. With the 1,400 does, it gives people a level of comfort because you can do a lot more with 1,400 if you're barely surviving on 600. So yes, I do think that the 600 did do something. It did not do enough.
Okay, and so do you think the 1,400 is going to do enough?
I think that 1,400 will do, again, a lot more than the 600.
Oh, well, yeah, it'll buy more stuff than the 600, obviously, right?
Yes.
Yes,
because whatever people deem to spend their money on is, of course, their choice.
But
what we need to do is give them options.
So, but here's the question that I want to ask, right? So, what is the end goal? So, if you had a bullet wound, right? One can argue if I put a Band-Aid over it, right, it would sop up some of the blood, right? but it certainly wouldn't. It would outlive its usefulness very quickly, right? And it would still leave you in a bad situation. So, what is the end goal? Because I'm just looking at, if we looked at the $600 being a Band-Aid, I could say the $1,400 is a gauze pad, right? But the people still have a massive wound, right? That's bleeding, and it's still bleeding out. And so what then is the end goal? Because what we really want to do is stop the bleeding.
All right. So I think that eventually, right?
I'm sorry, I had my mute on. But
I think this is a move. It's not going to go past the Senate, right? But so today, to me, it's a bargaining trip to kind of a threat. Hey, we'll do this. We'll do this without you. We'll do this without bipartisan. But that's not what's going to happen, right? So what's going to happen is it's going to be an all-out war in the Senate. I'm going to wind up not getting this stimulus because they are going to change the amount of who gets it. They are going to go down to, I think it is 50,000 if you're single, and that's going to knock me out of the park. And so many other people, and not that I need it, right? But I do recognize what Eric is saying, that it's people that either make above 50,000 that in this space, in this time, with all that's going on, are struggling. And so this is not about us, again. This is about the 100 days. And he wants to be able to say that I promised you $1,400 more dollars, and I'm going to give you more. But if you're negotiating at all on the lives of people, then Diane is right. Then it is nothing. But when Vincent says it like, hey, they passed it in the House, you have to know that was today just like showmanship. That's what that's about.
Well, some people would consider it political theater, and there is a great deal of it that is, and it is fulfillment of his promise. And and that part is true as well. But also, in terms of addressing Eric's question, I don't consider the COVID virus and the effects and the economic effects that it has on the lower class. What I'm saying to you is that this is a laceration, and that $600 was a Band-Aid. The $1,400 could be, to a lot of people, could be a tourniquet.
So
Really?
again, I'll say, unless it's specifically for Black people, it really means nothing. When you go into the bill and start to read through where all the money is going to these various things, you will see that his bottom line of saying, I give you $1,400 really doesn't mean much of anything.
Well, we'll see.
And now let me address that. In specifically saying that I'm going to give all Black people $1,400 and everybody else $600, that ain't going to happen. But you look at the effect.
Oh, you sound like
Black
Kamala
people.
now.
In terms of that bill, it also has the thing where increasing the minimum wage, in which Black people are the majority of receiving, are working below $15 an hour. It does. In terms of the medical relief part of that, where Black people are disproportionately affected by it, it does help Black people. No, it's not. It's everybody, and it's including. Now. It's not an everybody bill, but it's a majority Black bill.
It's not a bill.
No, it's not.
It's not. He has done specific executive orders specifically for particular races. It ain't us.
Well, that is your opinion. I respect that. I understand that, and I'm going to agree that I disagree in that portion.
That is a fact. It's not an opinion. He specifically said Asian Americans are going to get protection. He specifically said Pacific Islanders are going to get protection. Specifically named them. That's not an opinion. That's a fact.
Well,
everybody together and say, I'm going to raise the federal unemployment, give you more money. I'm gonna do that. That's for everybody.
So Vincent,
it is for everybody, but it affects.
No. But Vincent, So we went right, but we went through this again. We went through this last week, right? So he specifically talked about transgender. He specifically talked. No. Out of his mouth, he didn't say, "I'm gonna pass this bill that's gonna help everybody, but it's going to do more help for transgender." He said, no, I'm going to do this specifically for the transgender community. He said, I'm going to do this specifically for this group. I'm going to do this thing specifically for this group. And then he said, yep, and then all these other things that I'm going to do are going to be for everybody. And it's for you all to figure out how proportionately you're going to benefit, right? And that's what we're arguing through now. And what Diane is saying, wait.
Specifically transgender, which does consist of a good portion of people of color.
No. I'm not saying it doesn't. Vincent, you're missing the point. Vincent.
Not specific enough for you.
Right.
I'm going to argue the semantics, Vincent, because he said, I need your Black vote.
Yeah, he didn't say, he didn't, wait.
He also said, Black people, you had my back, and
No, Vincent.
He did not, in his speech, he did not specifically address any race in that, but
You're a liar. You're a liar now.
Really?
He did specific stuff for Asian people. He specifically named Pacific Islanders. He specifically went after transgender. Don't tell me what he didn't specifically do for other people.
In his speech, he did not specifically say any particular race, but Black.
A liar. A liar.
I'm lying because
the information that's given to you, you can't comprehend.
No, I can comprehend very well, and I can understand very well, and
rebuttaling bullshit. You're
not rebuttaling anything, or are you just specifically angry that the bill does not state specifically Black?
Saying I don't give a fuck about what Biden does until he comes out of his mouth and says this is specifically for Black Americans. That's what the fuck I said, and I ain't changing it.
Then why don't you specific? Then why don't
And I
then why don't you why don't you do us all a favor and specifically
people and say,
then why?
I need you to get me here.
So listen. So Vincent, what I don't understand is this.
Hold your breath and wait
No, Vincent. No.
why don't you take a deep breath and shut up and let somebody else
No. So here's the question that I have.
No, you don't want to hear me anymore.
No, Vincent.
If you don't want to hear me anymore, then shut up.
Okay, Vincent. So here's what I'm asking you. Here's what I want to ask you. Can you appreciate that Diane, as a black woman, not an Asian or Pacific Islander, but as a black woman, says, I want something specific for me? Can you appreciate that?
I can't.
Okay, that's all she's saying. Wait a minute. But that's all she's saying.
No. Let me explain why I say I can.
I don't need the explanation. It's enough that you said you...
Specific for them.
No. But what I'm saying to you is this. So if that's what she's saying, why can't it just be appreciated that that's what she wants?
Again. I will say this again. Because specifically it's Diane's opinion, which I do respect, but I can respectfully disagree. No.
Out of his mouth.
Well, what do you disagree?
What Diane wants is not comparison to what America needs. And you cannot specifically make legislation.
Perfect. Done. No. You are... No, Vincent. No, we all agree on that. We all agree on that. And their life. But Vincent.
It doesn't benefit Americans that black people get some shit.
Right, but Vincent. No.
It doesn't benefit Americans because black people don't get crap. It's Diane's specific opinion.
No, Vincent. What you just... No, Vince.
Your third shift to the conversation.
No, Vincent. No. Wait, 1 second. Vincent, without yelling. What you just said was profound. I want you to go back and listen to the end of the show. What you came out of your mouth. Listen to what you said. It is profound. I'm not going to repeat it, but go listen to it. Because you were 100% right, which is why Diane is angry. What you said is why she's angry. So she agrees. That's what she said. I agree with what you just said, which is why I'm angry. Those are words that came out of your mouth, and I agree. And Jody said, I agree too. But I don't know if you really heard what you said that we are all in agreement with. Because if you did, then we don't have anything else to argue about. We should all be focused on him now and why there's nothing specific for black people. Listen, I want to thank you guys. Always spirited. And the conversations have to continue to go from the local level, all the way up to the White House. We have to have debates and discussions. As you know, I struggle today with titling the show. Facebook requires me now to title all of the shows, so I title it "Same Old Different Day," right? Because that's what I'm seeing. But we'll continue to watch, and you know, nothing's impossible. I'm looking at the probability, right? And key performance indicators will drive that probability number for me. Whether it's going to happen or not going to happen, right? No matter what it is that we're talking about in the realms of politics and other kinds of things. But keep this, you know, hey, for those of you guys who hang on hope, keep hope alive. You know, for you guys who, you know.
Jody, don't forget this time we're going to be reviewing the book, Cast.
Oh, yes, Cast. Oh, and Vincent, we have a show today at 4. I got a busy day today, man. I got to get cracking. We got a show today, and the topic is, Vincent?
The topic is race and race politics in the medical field. Why are black people getting subpar? Why medical services, even though they have good insurance? Why are black people dying disproportionately?
Because we're black.
Why people are?
Because we're bottom people. That's it. We're bottom people. We're devalued, right? But listen, I'm gonna go into it.
But we're gonna dive into that, and you're gonna get some information that would, and this is hard to say. We're gonna get some information that I believe will actually shock Eric Dawson.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Listen, I went to bed last night listening to. I'm on my fifth listening of Cast now. Fifth. I'm fired up. Listen, between Cast and I watched Roots. It was on Sundance Channel the other night. Listen, don't mess with me.
All episodes?
Huh? They did, Diane.
Did you watch all? You fell asleep, woke up, and watched some more?
And I watched some more, Diane. This is called immersion. I am like I am soaked in it now, right? So yeah, look, I'm open to all information, but focused on improving our circumstances. Stay tuned, Jody. I put all the links in. I was able to get that done.
Oh, that stuff looks disgusting.
We got Dr. Vincent Parson and a anesthesiologist who is presently working, who will give you an account of the discrimination.
All right.
How long will it take you to make that kombucha?
How long did it take me? Mm-hmm. Once you get the SCOBY, to actually put everything together, it takes about 30 minutes. And then they tell you 7 to 10 days before it's ready to drink. But again, once you do that, right? And then if you drink, what is it, a 16-ounce bottle every day, right? That one batch that you make will last a few days, right? But meanwhile, you have your next batch of kombucha going. Do you see what I'm saying? And then, and yeah. So
I should get mine by next week.
Yeah. You want the one that I'm brewing for you?
Yeah.
No. I'm going to the bakery today. I'll bring you a 16-ounce jar today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Cool beans. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Tune in tomorrow.
Next passionate and exciting episode of
The Eric Dawson Show. Take care, guys. Stay blessed. Stay safe.